Hello, I'm Valerie, and some of you have been asking how I make my animations, like this one, or this one, or this one, and this, so I thought, why not make a tutorial about it? And here's that tutorial. First, you need an app called Minimator, which I will leave a download in the description, and once you got that, the tutorial can start. Once you have opened Minimator, you just want to create a new project, and to get your character in there, you just want to click the workbench, and then just import your character. And here you go, your character is in Minimator, and you're free to animate it however you want, like this. You can add a keyframe, boom, an animation. That's the basics. Now you might be wondering how I can get my Minecraft skin to be able to move its eyes, hair, and wings. Well, this is called a custom rig, or like a custom model I made for my skin. I'm just gonna give a quick rundown of how I made the eye rig and the hair rig. So basically, if I hide the hair, the eye rig is pretty simple. It is made out of just a bunch of shapes, the surfaces here. And as you can see, it's just a lot of surfaces grouped together. So when I move this, it closes. This is the pupil is just two surfaces together, and then these are the eye whites, and it's just two surfaces. It's really simple, honestly. And as for the hair, you just go to MS Paint and then like crop out the hair, and then you want to go to Model Bench, which is another app to like create models. And then you just want to like import it here. You just want to make it bendable so that your hair can bend as if it was blown by the wind or whatever. Hair physics, basically. Now we're gonna move on how I actually animate in Minimator. I am gonna use this animation as an example on how I animate. So first of all, my style of animation is stop motion, or like frame by frame animation. Basically, as you can see, there are a fuck ton of keyframes here, and usually when you're animating, it would look something a bit like this, which is linear animation. And your style of animation is honestly just up to you. It's all about preference. But if you want to copy my style of animation, you gotta select your keyframes, right click it, transition, and instance. That makes it so the transition between your keyframes are instant, just like a stop motion animation. And when it comes to intervals between keyframes, it honestly depends on its type of animation. For example, a fast motion would have shorter intervals between the keyframes, and a slow motion would have longer intervals between keyframes. And more about my style of animation, I rarely use bends, as you can see here. I like to avoid bends as much as possible if I can, because I feel like it just gets rid of the vanilla feel of Minecraft. But of course, that's all a preference. And one tip I do have for animation is on every keyframe, every frame you have a keyframe on, you want to make sure every part of the body is moving, except for the parts that you don't show on screen, of course. Now that the animation part is done, it's time for lighting, or the camera. Now I generally use a very low FOV for my camera because I think it looks more cinematic, but of course you don't want to use too low of an FOV, or like using low FOV every time. There are certain times where you do want to use a high FOV, but generally you just want to make it low for most situations. I also want to follow the rule of thirds most of the time, which is basically you turn on this thing, and whenever you're making a scene, you want to place your focus points on these points here. Why? Because it looks good. And lastly, the hardest part about animating, in my opinion, is lighting. You're not gonna get this good of lighting in Minimator on your first try. It's gonna take a long time of perfecting it and trial and error. I'm not really one to teach on lighting, but I can recommend a good tutorial on lighting, which I will link in the description again. That video helps a lot on my lighting, so I recommend you watch it. And that's a basic breakdown of my animations. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask in the comments, and I'll try to reply the best I can. So yeah, goodbye.